miles down to Richmond. They're just exhausted. And Jackson says, oh yeah, we'll be there by, the end of May, but his men are just worn out. So they're going to be a little bit late. And so it's June 26th, and the attack is supposed to jump off, but they're not supposed to attack until Jackson is there. And in comes Ambrose Powell-Hill, advanced placement. He's impatient. He would get real sick and throw up and rah, 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 rah. And then he would get an idea in his head and he would just go. So he orders a frontal assault. He's supposed to attack from one side. Jackson's supposed to come from the other, but there's no Jackson, so I'm going to attack anyway. And he does. And his men come out of the woods and they're climbing up that stream. And Porter's like, oh, please don't keep coming. I don't want to kill all of you. But they keep coming, and he does, and he loads his cannons with a canister, those like golf ball size, hunks of metal, and just shreds A.P. Hill's men. A.P. Hill orders another attack, and Lee's like, who's attacking? I didn't order an attack. Where's Jackson? He's not here yet, but A.P. Hill keeps going. Unrelated, Daniel Harvey Hill, designated Hitter Hill, who is the brother-in-law of Thomas Jackson, says, God, I got to do something to help out. So he and his men attack and try and help out AP. And they fight until 9 o'clock on that night. They get nowhere. Porter and his men are untouched, and they've blown a huge swath in Lee's smaller forces. So, problem is, that same day, the little Confederate soldier says, yeah, Jackson's on his way. Jackson? What Jackson? Stonewall, sir. Stonewall? What? I thought he was up attacking D.C. Nope, sir, he's on his way. Oh my God! And it was said that George McClellan always wore brown pants. All right? So when he lost control, it would just blend in and you couldn't tell that he had crapped himself. Jackson's coming! Oh my God! What the heck? Oh God, Jackson's coming. I'm already facing 3,000-4,000 guys. Now Jackson's coming. That's going to be like 500,000. Oh God, we gotta go. All right, we're going to have to retreat. General, we're right there. We just got to attack. Oh no, it's a trap. They want us to attack. I know they do. Sir, if we capture the city, no, that's what they want. Makes sense. That's what we're doing. No, it's not. No. So he orders a retreat. And, Porter's going, General, give us more men. We're going to attack Richmond. What for? Well, we've blown a hole through the trees. We can see Main Street. No, they're hiding from you. No, sir, they're not. We killed them all. Look, there they are. And his men are ready to go. And McClellan says, don't you dare. Get back inside that fort. Matter of fact, we're going to retreat right now. I need all the supplies burnt. I need everything you can't carry with you left. Get to the James River and head east. But sir, Richmond's right there. No, they're laying a trap. You guys can't see it, but I'm a certified genius. All right, got this. All right, so just listen to me now. And they start retreating. Now Porter's men are told to be a rear guard. They have all these cannons in this beautiful fort that they built. They are told they've got to take apart their cannons, drag them across the Chickahominy River, drag them towards the James, and set them all back up again to be the rear guard. Porter, if you and your men get overrun, fight to the last man, okay? But we've got to get away. Now, Civil War cannon weighs about 2,000 pounds. And it's put on its little wheelbase to fire and it rolls back. But to carry it, you put it on a big thing called a case. That's a big giant wagon. So you put it in like this box, in like a chainsaw box. You put it in the box. You've got your cleaning rods, your different types of shot on this big wagon that's made to handle this tremendous weight. Well, Porter and his men don't have any horses. McClellan has. So they've got to get these 2,000-pound cannons out of their little gun pits, put them on some type of wagon, drag them manually almost 5 miles, set them up, dig them into the ground, and build defenses in about 11 hours. All right, after fighting all day. All right, they will kill Nearly 2,500 are wounded, 2,500 Confederates. They've lost 195, 4 guys wounded. And they're like, guys, grab a hold of something. You're coming along with us. In an unbelievable display of just sheer grit and perseverance, they do it. Their defenses aren't great, but as dawn comes up, they're like, all right, we got this. All right. And this is going to be the Battle of Gaines Mill. All right. Last bit of defiance, they burn the bridge over the Chickahominy that they used, so they're thinking they're safe. And Lee's going to come at them. June 27th, Jackson finally shows up. Sorry about that, General Lee, my boys. We're a little tired. All right, what do you want me to do? Well, Jackson, we need to get these we need to get these guys. I think they are retreating. And what Lee's plan is, they're so big, there's no way the Union Army can spread out, flex its muscle, and attack us. So if we can trap it up against the river, if we can pin it in the swamps of the peninsula, we can chip away and hold them in there, and we'll either drive them into the river, the swamp, well, they'll either die, or we'll kill them, or they're going to surrender. But we can't let them get off of this peninsula. We can't let them get away, so we have to fight them again. Problem is, Porter is in the way. Jackson is going to lead the attack. Going to assist him is A.P. Hill. Jackson somehow, again, here's where it's like, oh, Thomas Jackson's great. Jackson somehow gets lost, and he takes the wrong road. He's supposed to be over here, and he's way over here somewhere. And A.P. Hill's like, gosh darn, why didn't General Lee give me the order? I can do this. Boys, to hell with this, follow me. And A.P. Hill starts attacking again. And Jackson's like, what? Gunfire going on. So he finally shows up. But A.P. Hill just keeps coming, and Porter's like, oh, it's A.P. Hill again, guys. All right, we got this. And they start firing their cannons for an hour and a half, 2 hours. And Porter's men just dissolve A.P. Hill's army. It's the first time that Confederates begin to talk about a thing known as a red mist. It's kind of gross, where they are attacking in waves. And Porter's cannons would bark out, and the canister would fly, and all of a sudden, you would walk through a red mist. That a moment before was the line of soldiers directly in front of you. And they just keep coming. D.H. Hill shows up at 4:30. Finally, Jackson gets into the game, and they are attacking. Confederates are hurling everybody they got, about 56,000 guys. Porter and his men, 2 days of fighting. They're tired, they're bleeding, they're exhausted, their faces are covered in smoke and, gunpowder. They look like demons from hell, and they're fighting, they're hot, and they're dehydrated, but they're winning. And they said there were so many assaults made that bodies piled up, and more guys just kept coming, like a zombie horde. And finally, sun is setting, and Porter's men, guys, I can't believe that I think we did it again. Anybody got some water? Then at 7:30, the last of Jackson's men arrive. It's a Texan, big guy, long red hair, big red mustache, kind of like Yosemite Sam. His name is John Bell Hood. All right, and Lee says, General Hood, yes, sir. I need to send in everything you have. This is an all-or-nothing attack. Don't stop until we break Porter, or we're all dead. John Bell Hood's men are fresh. They scream the rebel yell, and they come in. Porter's men have been awake and on the move, working for 48, 50 hours. As fast as they reload their cannons, some of them were glowing red hot. They couldn't fire them because they had to let them cool off. They break. All right? Some of the Union cannons are turned around, and their loads are fired upon to the guys who loaded them. Porter and about 2/3 of his men are able to escape, but just barely. Nighttime falls, and they've got to move on. McClellan has no idea what's going on. He was the last man that came up the peninsula, and he's the first man going back down. He's miles away. He sends 2 brigades a couple thousand guys will go see if Porter needs any help. And if you're not sure, well then just come on back. So they do. McClellan telegraphs Washington, President Lincoln, I'm being attacked by great superior numbers. There's 300, maybe 400,000 of them. Pinkerton says they're everywhere. You got to get the Navy, man. It's like Bill Paxton and Alien. They're everywhere, man. You got to come and get us, all right? I'm telling you, come get us. I'm being attacked by a greatly superior force all day. Meanwhile, Porter and his men have killed 10 to 11,000 men of Lee's army, who's only got 70 or 80,000. How many Union soldiers have been killed? Anybody know? 394. All right. I'll take those. Sorry for the 394, but man, we got this. All right. And Porter is told to keep it up. McClellan says, guys, make all speed for Harrison's Landing. At the end of the James River, there's this big house on a thing called Malvern Hill. Malvern Harrison was the big plantation owner. He had a deep water port where transoceanic ships could pull up, and he had a little small narrow gauge railroad that would shunt the cargo into Richmond and bring it back out so the big ships didn't have to go up the treacherous James River. So get there, I'm going to have the Navy there waiting for us, and we got this. And the retreat is done well. Supplies are burnt, food is burnt. McClellan even abandons the wounded in the hospitals and says, doctors, if you want to stay with them, that's great, but you know what? If you don't keep up and you want to stay behind, it's on you, but I've got to save the army to fight another day. And Lee knows he's got to slow him down. He's got to trap him. So, Battle of Savage Station is going to happen on June the 28th, the very next day. Magruder's a Magruder. You gotta slow him down. Well, Magruder gets his old tricks. He gets that little narrow gauge railway, and he gets a couple thousand guys, and he says, get on. He drives down the railroad, and he throws a couple hundred off here, drives another couple miles, throws a couple hundred off here, and he goes down the peninsula. When I toot the train whistle, I want the guys on the far right to jump out of the woods and scream and yell and fire at the Union soldiers. Then I want the guys with me on the train whistle to pop out of the woods, and we're going to pop up like whack-a-mole, 10 guys here, 20 here, 100 there, and we're going to make them think that we've got guys all the way down the river. And they do. Kaboof, kaboof, kaboof. And McClellan's like, oh my God, they got it. Thousands of guys, faster, move, 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 move. And Magruder's thing works, but it works too good. And he sees that he's got to get in front of the initial 50,000 men with McClellan running down the peninsula. And he's got 11,000 guys with him. He's like, man, I can't get in front of them. I'll barely be a speed bump. So he asks for help. Thomas Jackson says, don't worry, I'll be right there. Don't do anything until I get there. Now, Jackson is one of those guys with all of his idiosyncrasies. He needed 7 hours of sleep a day. No more, no less, 7 hours. Well, in the last 48 to 60 hours, he's had maybe 10 hours of sleep total. His men are repairing this unnecessary bridge called Grapevine Bridge over the Chickahominy River. While they're building a bridge, Jackson's writing that letter. He lays down against an apple tree and he falls asleep. Dude, you gotta go wake up Jackson. I ain't gonna wake up Jackson. No, man, we gotta get him up. I ain't waking him up. So Jackson's taking a nap. And Magruder's like, well, God, we gotta do something. So he attacks. And his men are just swatted out of the way. Like they don't even matter. And Lee is getting angry. Why is nobody listening to me? The next day is the Battle of White Oak Swamp. Down in this swamp is where Lee wants them. He's maneuvering them right where he wants them. But we gotta get in front of them. But the retreat is so good and so fast that Lee actually loses them for a couple days. About a day and a half, 12, 18 hours, not a day and a half, almost a full day. And the Confederates can't coordinate. They can't get everybody to do what they're supposed to do when they're supposed to do it. They just can't. And Lee's getting desperate. And we get to the next day of the Battle of Glendale, where ill-fated General Benjamin Huger gets out in front. Finally, I've got there. General Lee's going to be pleased. And coming out of the swamp are these old trees. So Huger has his men chop down a bunch of trees, crisscrossing them over the roadway. That'll slow down McClellan long enough for the rest of the army to catch up. Problem is, the Union Army has so much manpower, most of the trees they literally just pick up and shove out of the way. The ones they can't, they get guys on lumberjack saws, they cut a little gap and shove them out of the way. You got 170,000 guys, you can move a lot of stuff. So Huger has no choice but to attack, and he sacrifices his guys. About another 10,000 guys are shot up, torn up. About 4,000 to 5,000 are able to get away, and McClellan is now within sight of Harrison's Landing. Lee is mad. They're getting away. Why won't anybody do what I tell them? Magruder, what are you doing? Huger, why did you do that? Well, we thought, well, that's the problem. You thought. Do what I tell you, all right? This is not an army of individuals. We got to work. Well, that's not how and General Johnston's in a hospital. So do it or you're going to be gone. And Johnston says after the battle, only George McClellan would have failed to attack. Only an idiot like that would not have attacked Richmond. So we get to the battle of July 1st. Union Army makes it to Harrison's Landing. There's these big wide open fields, this giant hill, these nice plantation houses for headquarters, and the Union Navy's there. But they can't take everybody out all at one time. Lee's coming on fast. And McClellan says, General Porter, yes sir, need you to fight one more rear guard action. What are you talking about? We fought at Fair Oaks, 7 Pines, we fought at Mechanicsville, we won those. We kind of won at Gainesville, but we'll give that one to the Confederates. We slowed them down at Savage Station and White Oak Swamp and Glendale. Is anybody else in this army going to do anything? Well, we figured you're real good at it, so you guys stay behind and hold them off one last time. Oh, okay. Like, why not? All right? Great. He says, but you can take as many guys as you want from the rest of the army, but dig in. You got to make sure the army gets away. Fine. Great. Well, Porter said, you know what? I don't need anybody else. My boys and I got this. And he has enough time to dig 3 trenches, 3 lines that he builds a nice 90-degree angle. In the front line, he's got long-range cannons. In the middle, he's got mid-range shot, which is like a giant cannonball, like a grenade, that when you fire it, it will explode. Third row, he's got canister shot, and his men have their rifles. If you want to come across the floodplain and be my guest, I'll just kill every last stinking one of you. And at Glendale, they had killed so many Confederate soldiers without orders. Many of the Union soldiers in the rear of the line began their own counterattack. Woo, we got it, Richmond, Richmond. McClellan's like, no, 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 that's what they want you to do. Like hell, we can see Richmond still, let's go. And A.P. Hill rides up, and he yanks his sword out of it was rusted to his hilt, and he swings it and rallies some Confederate soldiers, and that scares McClellan enough that he tells the men that if they keep going, they're going to be court-martialed. It's like 5, no? Okay. Apparently they're hiding, and they're in like dwarves under the ground, literally. So Porter says, let's do this. All right, fine. I will sweep the floodplain, and it's going to be easy. Well, Lee comes up with a plan. What he wants to do is to have several generals, D.H. Hill, a guy named William Wittig, are going to attack. And on their far right is going to be James Longstreet. And as the attack goes in, and Porter's men are focused on them, Longstreet's going to sweep around behind him and get to the back of Malvern Hill and fire down on the troops who are all lined up to get into the boats. If you guys have seen the movie Dunkirk, it's like the British soldiers lined up on the docks when the Luftwaffe flies over. They're just sitting ducks. Well, when the fighting starts, the guys in the back of the Union line, what's going on over there? Porter and his men are shooting some Confederates. Well, we ain't moved in a couple of hours. You guys want to go and get a few shots off? Yeah, man, let's go. So more Union soldiers leave the line. And a couple of the Confederates see this, and they believe that it's a retreat, like Porter is bailing. So they go and they tell Lee, General Lee, the Union Army's getting away. I think that they're retreating. Now, the problem for Lee is nobody's coordinated yet. And every order he has to handwrite, give it to a runner, and take it to the person it's assigned to. So Lee changes his plan. Last time he's going to do it. Problem is about 50% get the new plan and 50% don't. So we've got the old attack plan and the new attack plan going on at the same time. And the Confederate armies run into each other. It's a lot of fire. To straighten this out, D.H. Hill tells his men to go straight on in. And they do. And they literally just get devastated. Of the entire war, roughly 45 to 50% of the casualties will be inflicted by artillery fire. 20% of that happens at Malvern Hill. The Confederates just get blasted to pieces. It's literally bodies and body parts. Porter and his men hold. That night, they say a full moon came up and D.H. Hill's men saw the field alive and quivering with the dead, the dying bodies and body parts. So much so that if you guys will give me like 10 minutes here, that they were not allowed on the front lines at night for over a year. Because a lot of his men woke up with nightmares screaming. When they were in battle, they had to be put at the back of the line so they wouldn't give away the Confederate position. Lee's army is broken right there. If McClellan turns around and orders a counterattack, Lee can't stop him. He's got absolutely nothing. War is over. Ding dong, the witch is dead. But Lee knows that McClellan will never do this. And so Lee, if he was a gambler, must have been a heck of a poker player, because he acts like it's not a loss. And he rides out front the next day, and he does this several times, takes a page from John B. Magruder's book, bring up the Georgia 21st. Where's the Virginia 15th? He's just making up numbers. Right? Bring up the Seminole Division, those guys from Tallahassee. McClellan's here, and there's General Lee. Somebody shoot him, all right? He's a sniper, all right? Shoot him. You may know the story of Patrick Bulldog Ferguson, all right? Maybe down to Kings Mountain, throw the little rock on the big pile, all right, South Carolina, all right. So there's a Scottish ranger, sniper, named Patrick Bulldog Ferguson. And at the Battle of Monmouth, he has his sights on this Continental officer screaming and yelling, getting Continental guys back into line to win their first victory. He was just about to pull the trigger, and this officer turned his back. Well, it was ungentlemanly to shoot an officer in the back. Bulldog Ferguson found out later that the officer was George Washington. He said, God, if I could go back in time, I'd have pulled the trigger, and I would have ended the war right there. All right? So it's ungentlemanly. Man, you know, if he's riding out, yelling out, George 21st, bam! All right? Done. All right? Oh. So if you ever go to Kings Mountain, you're supposed to bring a rock down and you throw it on this big rock pile. Well, the North Carolina, South Carolina militias killed Patrick Bulldog Ferguson, and they threw rocks on him because, A, he almost shot General Washington, B, he was trying to kick him off their land. So if you go down there, you get your rock, throw it on the wall. There's like 10 of mine on there, man. I'll give him 2. Anyway, so, anyhow, the war is over. But McClellan will refuse to believe it. So he retreats anyway. And Lincoln is, no, you can't do this. You literally can't. So Lincoln literally gets down on a boat and says, George, well, it's your fault. If you would have given me guys, he's got 400,000. And Lincoln says, you know what, George? If I gave you another 100,000 men, you would scream and cry in the mud and say, Lee's got 500,000, and you would ask for more. If you use the ones that I've given you, I'll get you more, but you got to use them. McClellan says no. And so Lincoln says, okay, you're fired. When you get these men back in Washington, you've given your last command. You can't fire me. Actually, yes, I can. I have it somewhere. I rooted around the classroom. There's this great photo of they're sitting in a tent, and Lincoln is like sitting on like a little camp stool, and McClellan's behind his office, and his face was